Manchester United making that bid of £45 million plus £10 million in performance-related add-ons. Then another bid went in worth £62.5 million. I think Brentford were really, really steadfast and stubborn in their approach to this. They had a figure in mind and they said, we are not going to go anywhere below that. And finally, the two clubs have met, and it is a deal worth £71 million. Manchester United will pay an initial fee of £65 million plus £6 million in performance-related add-ons. The initial fee, the £65 million, will be paid in 4 instalments. And that's where the information I was getting was where the crux of...
OK, so a bit of a rush from a Manchester United point of view. Brentford ended the season in such great shape, but they've now lost their manager, gone to Tottenham. They've lost their captain, gone to Arsenal. Now they've lost their top scorer off to Manchester United. Where does it leave them?
I mean, they have got good money for Bryan and Mbeumo. They have got good money for Christian Norgard as well, who you mentioned has gone to Arsenal. There was, of course, a big blow losing Thomas Frank, the head coach, who went to Tottenham Hotspur. But focus will now, I guess, be on Johan Wissa. And the noises we've been hearing throughout this transfer window is that Brentford do not want to sell both Bryan and Mbeumo and Johan Wissa in the same transfer window. Now, we do know that alongside the interest in Bryan and Mbeumo from Manchester United, there has been big interest in Johan Wissa, not least from Newcastle United, because they've turned the transfer fee and the personal terms. Both of those could prove to be stumbling blocks. Hence why, after he went on loan to Aston Villa last season, for the second half of last season, you can't rule out another loan in this transfer window either. I think it would suit Barcelona, probably not so much Manchester United, because they would prefer a permanent deal. However, if they were to do a loan deal, it would be a creative loan. Manchester United would probably want an obligation attached to that deal. Aside of Marcus Rashford, we mentioned Jadon Sancho. Juventus, again, they are exploring a deal for Jadon Sancho. We do know that they've been in talks with Manchester United over a transfer fee. They've been in talks with Sancho's representatives over personal terms. Again, what would prove to be more of a stumbling block would be the personal terms because of the wages that Jadon Sancho is on. As far as Juventus are concerned, their focus at the moment is to finalise the deal for Porto's Francisco Conceição. That was the #1 priority. And people thought, well, is it one or the other for Jadon Sancho? Talks between United and Juve are open, as are talks between Juve and Sancho's representatives. As yet, there's not been an agreement on either. So there hasn't been an agreement on a transfer fee. And we talked about Rashford's wages. Sancho's on big wages as well. So Juventus remain in talks with his representatives over trying to find an agreement on the personal terms. It feels like the more problematic one would be the personal terms. And then Juventus could probably negotiate on the transfer fee with regard to Jadon Sancho. So no agreement on either front yet, but we think that Sancho's asking price is around £25 million, which is what Chelsea would have had to have paid had they taken up their obligation at the end of last season. Anthony, meanwhile, Real Betis, we know they remain desperate to sign Anthony. Anthony wants to go to Real Betis, had a really successful second half of last season at Real Betis. Difficult deal again for Real Betis to do, given the finances involved. But these 5 players behind me, they're the ones that Manchester United want to do permanent deals for.
Alejandro Garnacho as well. Any updates on him? He carries on posting these cryptic social media posts. Yeah,
I mean, Manchester United, again, want to do deals for all 5. There haven't been any formal offers, we think, at the moment. Napoli were interested earlier on in this transfer window, but they couldn't get a deal done. The noises around Garnacho would suggest that any deal, he would prefer a permanent deal to a Premier League club, so he wants to stay